Hi guys, Redneck Wannabe here today, and hope all's well. So today, let's talk about dirt, and I'm going to take you through kind of the evolution that I have seen here with my beds and my garden. Man, I am no expert by no stretch of the imagination, but there's just a few things that have worked for me, and so that's just what I'm going to share with you. So what you're looking at right here, take out the beds. And so my first garden was right here. And so right here, I built a fence. And what I would do is, I have a lawn company. And so in the spring, or actually in the fall, I would dump a bunch of leaves in here. And I bet this thing would be, man, 2 foot tall. And then over during the course of the winter, it would obviously settle down, and then come springtime, I would till everything in. And man, you till it in, and it just looks so rich and just awesome. Man, I can't wait to plant in here. But throughout the summer, what I would find is this soil would just get, and it's real rocky here, so this isn't really a very good example, but because I've put a lot of compost in here, but this would, it would be, just hard. We had a rain a few weeks ago, so it's still pretty soft, and we haven't obviously hit the summer temperatures, but at the end of the summer, this thing would just be just hurting, just dry, and it just wouldn't hold any moisture. And so, you just jump on YouTube and, you just hear what people are doing. And so I ran across a guy, and I don't remember his name, but it was Singing Frogs Farm out in California. And he talked about, just dumping compost on your beds and just making it a no-till, and that over the year, if you don't till your garden, or over a couple years if you don't till your garden, you can just reach in with your hand and just dig the stuff up. It's just nice and rich, and you name it. And so that's what I started doing. And then he also talked about when your beds aren't in use per se, to cover them, and so and even whenever they are in use, to cover them. So what I did last year was the top 4 beds right here, I had just as tomatoes. And in the springtime here in Texas, we have a live oak which sheds its leaves. We'll get bags and bags of this stuff. And so what I did was I planted all the tomatoes, and then I put the live oak leaves just as mulch, and maybe an inch thick. And I was shocked at how much it kept the moisture in the beds. It did a fantastic job. And so I thought, well, man, that works great. And then as the season progressed, those live oak leaves only come down in the spring. And so after that, I went and got a bale of straw. But you can see this is what comes from the bale of straw. So all these, I guess that's winter wheat of some sort. So you can see my lettuce. You can see how thick I planted my lettuce. I just wanted to see how thick I could plant this year and still have a good harvest. So I planted this September-ish, I think. And you can see all the stuff that's popped up. I'm not even going to attempt to pull all this until it's time to harvest. This is, these are parsnips that, haven't done all that well. So, first it was live oak leaves. Then it was the straw. The straw did fine, but you just see all the volunteer weeds that are popping up. Then you search more, and you listen to more, and you read more, and I ran across a guy, Paul something, I don't remember what his last name was, but he talked about the Back to Eden garden. And so this is what I've done. All of these beds that you're looking at right now, I put all this down. Man, if the camera's shaking, I'm cold. It's just cold out here today. So I put about, now I have no idea what these beds are going to look like. Now, we got a half-inch of rain, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. So we haven't had anything since. It hadn't been hot, but and you can still you can see a little bit of the straw that I was using. But I mean, this stuff, that's wet. I mean, that's that's awesome. So so it looks like the Back to Eden is working. Over here, I just I brought in compost, and then I covered it all with the wood chips, and this is settled this year, and I did this probably September, October. These have settled, at least an inch. The cardboard here, I have the Bermuda will start to creep into my garden, so I thought, well, I'm just going to put this cardboard here and just see how it works. So far, doing okay. So we'll see how it works throughout the year or throughout the growing season. So one thing that has worked, man, I mean, it was awesome. And I can't figure out how to incorporate it into the Back to Eden with wood chips, but there's something out there called Bokashi EM1, I think. You know what? I bet I have a bag over here. I haven't used it in a while. That's my daughter's little project right there. This stuff. This is awesome. If you're not going to use the wood chips, man, I would highly recommend this. And what it is my understanding is it kind of pickles your food. And so any leftover food that you have, I just put it in one of those free buckets that I got from Sam's or Walmart. I put it in that bucket. Just grabbed a handful and just sprinkle it on there. And then whenever the bucket was full, I just closed up the lid and I would put it in a shady spot. And depending on the weather, the warmer the weather, the faster it would work. But 2, maybe 3 weeks later, you open it up and you can't even, the food still looked like it did whenever you put in there, but you could definitely smell the difference. And what I would do is, in the middle of the bed, this was before, this was a year or two ago, before I started with the Back to Eden, but I would dig a trench in the middle, and then I would dump that compost in the middle, and then I'd just cover it up with dirt, and then I'd plant my seeds. And without a doubt, the middle part of this bed would grow twice as big and fast and full as the outskirts were or would. And so I thought, well, is that a coincidence or what is it? So one day, I dug it in an S, so I just did something like this, and I filled in that Bokashi compost, and sure enough, the same thing happened. And I don't remember what I was planting. I want to say lettuce or something like that, but you could see that S where I had put the Bokashi. So if I could figure out a way to use that with the Garden of Eden, man, I would do that in a heartbeat, because it was awesome. But the challenge is any scraps go to those chickens over there. So what you gonna do? I'd much rather feed my chickens right now. So, but if you don't have chickens and you're looking for a great way to fertilize your dirt, that Bokashi. Also on the Bokashi, I remember that whenever there were times that I just wanted to see what the dirt was like, so I would dig it out, and you could just see I want to say that the technical term is mycelium, which is just the fungal, the white strand of fungal growth in there. Man, it was really cool to see, but you could really tell the difference of the stuff of where I planted that Bokashi. So that's the evolution. One thing that I have noticed over the last couple of years is when I build a bed, like these beds are brand new. I put, probably a foot of compost and at least 6 inches, maybe probably 6 inches of wood chips on there. What will probably happen is in the spring, things probably won't grow that fast. So what I found is whenever I build a new bed, it takes about the second season before it really kicks in. Now, one thing that I have read is that the compost that I get it from a landscape supplier, and it's grass and leaves and small sticks and stuff like that, just all ground up. And so what I had read is that whenever you have wood in the soil, if you take the wood chips and you till it into your soil, the wood chips will suck all the nitrogen out of your soil and it'll deplete your soil of nitrogen. And so what I've seen in the past is, looking back on it, that's what happened, because whenever these beds were brand new, I built them in August. And I planted, radishes and lettuce and cabbage and, all that. And, man, they just never took off. And they would get real yellow. And, man, I didn't know what it was. And just didn't know. Now, those far beds way out there that I just built, built those in August, and then in September, October, I planted kale and mustard greens. Same thing happened. Is whenever I planted it, they shot up real quick, but then they slowed down. They started to turn yellow, and so what I did was I just went and got some blood meal, and I just dumped it on there heavily, and sure enough, man. Not but a week later, those things just shot up, and they did great. So my kids aren't too hip on mustard greens, but my chickens were, so they had a field day on those. But so that's probably what I'll have to do here this year. Is I'll probably have to hit it real hard with some blood meal and just bump up the nitrogen there. So that's the evolution of my beds. Man, I hope that helps. Again, I am no expert. That's just what I've noticed over the last couple of years and what's worked for me. So, but I will tell you one thing, that bokashi, if you do not do wood chips, the bokashi is the way to go. So, and don't mulch with straw. It's going to be a pain pulling all those out. So, anyway, I hope that helps. And thanks for watching, and I appreciate y'all. Take care. Bye.